people without electricity right now. And of course, we're trying to prioritize the restoration so that our hospitals come back up first, because while they're all on generator power, generators typically, fail after some period of time. So we want to get them back up first. And in the meantime, we already have the Corps of Engineers on the ground identifying additional generators that we can bring to these hospital locations, so that should we have a failure before power is restored, we're going to be able to switch them over. They're working extremely hard on that. And we have FEMA embedded with us here since before the storm. The truth of the matter is they've been at GOHSEP since the day I became governor. They haven't left because of one disaster or emergency after another. But they're doing really well. We look forward to visiting with Administrator Griswold, who I think is going to be able to come down tomorrow, Mr. President. But this is going to be a long haul, and we know that we're going to need assistance with a housing program. We're putting together preliminary information this week that can potentially drive an appropriation for CDBG. We'll be getting with you all, and I'll work through Cedric Richmond on that, Mr. President, to make sure that we can get a program up and running just as soon as possible. But I want to finish with really the most important thing. We are still in a life-saving mode here doing search and rescue. The roads, the highways into the most affected area were completely clogged with debris, down power lines, trees. We're making really good progress. We actually started our ground search and rescue this morning at daylight. We dispatched those forces. And by the way, we already had search and rescue teams from 16 states in Louisiana as of yesterday. They started moving to the affected areas at 3 o'clock this morning. At 6 o'clock, they were actually doing search and rescues from 911 calls that came in over the night that couldn't be responded to. And then by 6 o'clock this morning, we actually were effecting rescues out of the air as well. And the last thing I want to say is the very first rescues occurred at a hospital in Galliano down in Lafourche Parish by the U.S. Coast Guard, because they were able to fly before any other assets could. And they were able to move about 7 patients from a hospital down there. You probably saw the hospital that had the roof just completely taken off yesterday. Your Coast Guard rescued and relocated those patients first thing this morning, and we are very appreciative of that.
Well, thank you. Well, look, we worked real hard with you to get the search and rescue teams in place, but you say they have been able to respond in a timely way.
Yes, sir. And I can't tell you they're everywhere we want them, but they started responding first thing this morning. And those 16 teams, that doesn't include the National Guard or the Wildlife and Fisheries officers here. I've got all 5,000 of my National Guardsmen activated. We're going to end up with about 5,000 more coming in from out of state through an EMAC request. And one of the reasons this is important, Mr. President, is we've got 2,400 of our soldiers in our 256 Brigade Infantry Combat Team. They're deployed to the Middle East. And so we're going to have EMAC requests where I think as early as tomorrow, we're going to have additional soldiers coming from National Guards from sister states, and that's going to be very helpful as well.
Well, good. Well, look, if there's anything else you need, just call. I mean, you got the team at the table there, a lot of them, and so just holler. All right, now Cedric, who are we going to next?
Governor Reese.
You are. I understand, Gov, you're not on video, but you are on the telephone. So, Gov, fire away.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. When we spoke on Friday, you assured me that when we asked for the pre-landfall declaration that you would immediately sign it, and you did exactly that, and I want to thank you for doing so. We're in a little bit of a different position right now, obviously, than our friends in Louisiana. The eye of the storm is currently west of Jackson, And so we probably have between 18 and 22 more hours of the eye of the storm being in the state of Mississippi. We also have, because it's such a large storm, our largest threat in terms of tornadic activity still remains along our coastline and in the counties just north of there. The storm, which really is challenging, has slowed down to about 8 miles an hour, and so that's the reason it's going to stay in the state for so long, which leads to more and more rainfall. So the bad news for us is that we're going to get even more rainfall than maybe we originally anticipated. The good news is because it's moving so slow, the wind speeds have not reached where we thought they would be in the 65 to 75 mile an hour range here in central Mississippi. They're really closer to 30 to 40 miles an hour. Certainly still providing some significant challenges, but not to the extent that it otherwise could have been. Because of that, we know that our greatest threats here in Mississippi are with respect to rising water and power outages. The storm has been in the state for about 8 to 10 hours now. We've got 135,000 plus Mississippi dwellings that have not and cannot receive power right now. We're working on that, but we anticipate that number to significantly increase over the next 20 hours as the storm continues to move north. We have determined in meeting with our team, Mr. President, as well as your team at FEMA earlier today, that the SARS assets, the search and rescue teams from FEMA in our state are not currently needed in our state. We believe our state and local assets can meet the needs, and so we have encouraged our FEMA counterparts to release those individuals over to Louisiana to help with those search and rescue.
Good.
As well as I have directed General Boyles, my adjutant general, as we progress over the next 8 to 10 hours, he has already reached out to his counterpart in Louisiana, and we're going to be sending men and women in uniform from Mississippi to help in Louisiana because that's who we are. And so we've got, again, some about 20 hours ahead of us of winds and lots of rain, but all things considered, because the storm slowed up so considerably, we're seeing more rain, more water, but a lot less wind, which is certainly helpful.
Well, thanks an awful lot, Gov. And again, thanks for your generosity in sending some of those search and rescue teams to Louisiana. And is Mayor Cantrell on? Mayor Cantrell, are you on? I don't think she was able to get connected.
I don't think so, Mr. President, but we have Cynthia Lee Shang.
Oh, okay.
Parish president from Jefferson Parish, which includes Grand Island and other places hard hit.
Well, you were hard hit, weren't you, Madam President?
Thank you.
Down in
Yes, we
Grand
were.
Island.
Thank you, Mr. President, Congressman, Governor, thank you. We have not had contact with Grand Isle. Congressman, you know Mayor Carmodell. I talked to him yesterday evening. He thought 40 people were on the island, couldn't get them off, including some firefighters. We have not had contact with them since yesterday. I'm told that the Mayor Carmodell's in Galliano, and Governor, I think he's on a helicopter by the state police, is what I heard, to get him to the island. And as long as there's communication, we'll be able to communicate with him and see what's going on there. But it's very hard to not have any word from that island and the people on it since that time. In Lafitte, the water was very high to the roofs of houses. Our first responders, Sheriff Joseph Lapinto, our firefighters, Louisiana National Guard, some Coast Guard are there doing search and rescue. They're having to get boats in and out. We are sheltering those people at Park Playground. And then I believe the state is going to coordinate, Governor, for a pickup and move them out to Alexandria is my understanding. And then, of course, our systems are down. We have no electricity, no communication. Our water systems are down. We're losing pressure. We had to do a boil water advisory. Our sewer system, as you know, is based on electricity, so we're going to start having backups there, so that's going to be a hygiene problem. And we're encouraging residents who are out of the area to stay out because we do not have the modern amenities to bring them back home. And the people inside, you know, we're going to have to take care of them. But some of the people in here who stayed during the storm and are okay. In the next couple of days, they may want to get out, and it might be a best idea for them to get out because it's going to be difficult life for quite some time.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you.
Cedric, what about the oil port?
Well, the governor or Parish President Shane could talk about that. The president's inquiring about the oil ports down in Port Fourchon and the effect and where we are there.
I personally do not have eyes on that situation, so actually the visual I get is if I see something on the national